Hello, my name is Alex Davis and welcome back to the Walser Auto Campus. Today we are in the stunning Acura of Wichita building, joined by the 2022 Acura MDX. This is the brand new Type S model as well. So we'll be talking about double wishbone suspension, we'll be talking about the 3-liter V6 with a turbo now, horsepower figures and all of that. So very excited for this opportunity. Per usual, I want to start off on the front talking about some design cues that are brand new for this body style of MDX. We've had this body style for about a year now, but now we have the Type S treatment. So with Acuras, if you're unfamiliar, the Type S is going to be the top trim in performance and in luxuries for all of these cars. As of right now, Acura is offering 3 different Type S models. You have, of course, the MDX, you also have the TLX, and now the outgoing NSX in its Type S form. So on the front, color matched surround here, a little bit different than typical MDX fashion. You'll have either chrome or black here very typically. Nice large Acura symbol pronounced here with the adaptive cruise control hiding behind that. I do like when auto manufacturers do that. They hide it within the emblem so that you don't have an off-center black box somewhere. So of course Type S badging along here and a very unique kind of honeycomb style grille. They're actually like Acura logos flipped upside down. It's rather interesting. On the MDX you typically will have LED fog lamps, but on the Type S they have deleted them in lieu of some more aggressive intakes for better cooling for, again, the 3-liter turbocharged V6 underneath this. You'll have the dual headlights which have been slimmed for this body style. Once again, something that is very Acura. Those dual headlights are kind of iconic, especially with that chicane light right here. So an absolutely wonderful front end. Let's bring you around to the side and get a profile view of that. So on the side of the Type S, you'll notice a couple of changes from the standard MDX. First and foremost, of course, another Type S badge. It is on both sides, it's on the front, and it is on the back, as you'll see very soon. Highlighted, of course, will be the 21-inch wheels that come on the advanced option. And then a couple other changes you'll notice. The surrounds on the front bumper, the side, and the wheel arches are all going to be in high gloss black. The typical MDX fashion, we will have this in matte black plastic, so a little bit more premium again for the Type S model. Black mirrors here, some nice shadow line trim, and an extension of that shadow line trim up on the fender, but all the way around, and some gloss black roof rails as well. People have different opinions about roof rails. I'll let you have your own. I do like them. I think it kind of makes the vehicle a little bit taller and sets apart the black from the silver quite nicely. If you have a black car, overall just makes it look taller, but in this case I think it adds to the shadow line effect. Some nice body lines along the doors, give it a little bit more of an aggressive, sporty stance. Otherwise this would just be a nice flat door panel, so I do like that dimension. We do have entry on all 5 doors, including the trunk, so if you simply walk up with the key, you can open the door or lock the door from any of those openings. You do have entry lighting as well, kind of hidden behind the door handles, a nice way of doing it. Some people do the puddle lamps, which they have as well. So in this case, you're going to have both. As you walk up on a dark night, you can get in your car with a lot of light and a lot of safety. Now, I do want to hop inside because you've seen the MDX interior probably already. The Type S, there are a couple of very cool changes that I think you're going to like. On the inside of the MDX Type S, there are a couple of changes from the standard MDX, mainly in the form of accent stitching and just overall materials used. You'll have some nice wood trim up here along the dash, some red stitching to go along with the sportiness of this vehicle. We do have, like I mentioned, that 3-liter turbocharged V6. We have 355 horsepower with a 0 to 60 of 5.6. Double wishbone front suspension, something that is typically reserved for track cars. The new GT3, for example, has a similar suspension setup. So overall, a very sporty car, but inside all the luxuries plus some that you'd expect out of a $73,000 vehicle. So you'll have dual zone climate control, a nice screen here, 12.3 inches, non-touch screen. You will have to use a trackpad down here, which we'll go over very shortly, but heated seats, ventilated seats, and even 3-stage massage seating in the MDX Type S. You have brake holds and auto start stop functions right here, your buttons for your transmission, your dynamic mode selector with Sport Plus, and then over here some charging options, USB-C and traditional USB outlet. The only thing that is rather confusing is I don't know why this pops down and up, because if you're like me, I leave my cords plugged in. And while this is rather nice and clean, I know that I would never have it down because my cords would always be plugged in and on the passenger seat. So an interesting design option. If you do prefer to clean up and have a minimalist look inside your vehicle, you can use that. I say that, but now we might be using the wireless charging pad a lot more, which does work rather well. My phone has been here and charging, so a wonderful option. The limits are, as with all wireless chargers, limited. You do have to place it in a very specific spot within about 5 degrees of error, but a nice place to put your phone. It is sticky, so it'll stay there, and then a nice little armrest right here for you as well. Now, I do want to concentrate on startup animation. There is a closing animation that we probably won't get to see, but a very cool startup animation here for the Type S. Kind of revs up and down. Very, very cool stuff. You'll have a completely configurable display here in front of you with computers, navigation. Of course, for Type S, we're going to have the super handling all-wheel drive function as well as the G meter. We have driver attention level as well. And you have two ways of looking at this. You either have the advanced, which we're in right now with revs on the left and speed on the right, or you have crafted, and I can't decide which I like better. Crafted is going to be more of a traditional gauge setup with revs on the left, and they kind of highlight the revs as you go along, so that's very cool. But just a bunch of different ways. So if you get bored looking at it one way, you can change it and do it another way. Steering wheel, we do have a kind of a flat bottom wheel, which is very cool. Some perforated leather, some red stitching, and the Type S emblem down here on the bottom. Lots of buttons, including paddle shifters. But on the left, mainly entertainment functionality. And on the right, going to be your safety, your lane keep assist on or off, your adaptive cruise control, and then the buttons to control that display. Over here on the far left, you'll have your configuration for your heads-up display. Rather cool stuff, as you can go into the heads-up and select navigation destinations, change the radio, all within your heads-up display, so you don't have to mess with the touchpad, you don't have to deal with Siri controls. You can kind of just say, I want a gas station, 4 clicks away, and you're going to the nearest gas station. So very cool stuff over there. You will have a quick touch button over here to adjust your safety features if you want them on or off. 3 driver memory settings and 3 passenger memory settings, things you're very used to seeing in an MDX, especially with the Tech Advanced. There is my Siri. My sister appears to be texting me. She doesn't know that I'm a movie star now. But 25 speakers for that nice, wonderful ding to go through. Now, I do want to concentrate on Apple CarPlay because, as we do with all of our videos, I want to see how they've integrated it into a non-touch screen display, and it is interesting to say the least. We'll go to the home screen quick, and I want you to look at this functionality. So, as if this was a touch screen, you're going to be swiping in this direction with this touchpad, right? So just like I'm going like this or like this, I'm doing that on here. Now, it is very different for Apple CarPlay. So if I find Apple CarPlay, you'll notice it'll go to music and then phone and then maps and then messages. And now here's the interesting part. Rather than swiping this way to get to my next page, I have to swipe this way to make that icon chase over to the next screen. So the exact opposite of what you're used to in Acura's own infotainment. This needs some refining, in my opinion. It's not that easy to get along with. Like Acura's, you can kind of maneuver where you are in this touchpad to then choose library or play or wherever. But in this case, you have to move it every single time you want to do something, and it just isn't very easy to get along with. So I would be using Siri a whole lot more, which the vehicle has, and going with that option. You also have Amazon Alexa within here and Android Auto, so a lot of good connectivity options and a little bit of noise as you move it around. So I do want to check out the back seat because there is something rather cool that I just learned, in fact, about the second row of this 3-row luxury sport SUV. In the back of the MDX Type S, you will have 4-zone climate control for your rear occupants, some heated seats back here for these 2 chairs, as well as 2 USB ports. You do have a home outlet here, which is rather nice to have, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. So 4 charging opportunities for the occupants back here. Now, we do have the captain's chair set up right now, which is a bit interesting because you are missing your armrest, but there's a little bit of a surprise in the trunk for what should be here and what can be here. However, if you're going to be moving around with just 4 occupants in the car, this is not a bad way to do it. If you need perhaps 5 people in the car at any given time, this actually would be the preferred way, in my opinion, to do it. That way, the people in the third row who typically don't have a whole lot of legroom anyway. And this car, it actually is pretty decent, but they can stick their legs through and have a lot more legroom, so a very nice thing there. But perforated leather seats all the way down, again with some very nice red detailed stitching, some of the most interesting stitching patterns that I've seen in anything besides, you know, a Bentley or even a Mercedes. So really cool stitching patterns along here. I've always liked Acura for doing that. But some very comfortable carpets. You do have some sunshades here on both windows, and then some very nice aluminum detailing along these rear speakers, again, for which there are 25. You'll have a panoramic sunroof here, which does go to behind my head, so a nice large panel there. Grab handles and interior lighting options will be here for those rear occupants, and a decent amount of legroom. Once again, 6'1" 3/4. Can't legally say I'm 6'2", but I have plenty of headroom, plenty of knee room for a long journey, and these do recline a little bit just to there. So you can take a quick cat nap. You're not laying all the way back, of course, but a very nice place to be in the back seats of the MDX Type S. Now let's check out the trunk. And finally, on the rear of the Type S, you'll notice a couple of differences as well. Some nice gloss black detailing here, and of course the Type S badge with their signature running lights here. Very aggressive rear end. I've always liked the rear end on the new MDX. Is something that I've liked from the beginning. Sometimes people see concept cars and they're like, I don't know if that's going to look good in production. We saw this one and immediately were excited for it, so it's nice to see that they came through with some really sharp detailing. Differences, of course, for the Type S, you will have the quad tailpipes, which do sound quite nice. And then in the back, as promised, a chair. So this is the middle row for your second row. So you can have the captain's chairs if you like, or you can have this chair, which would have your built-in armrest, cup holders, and a lot of storage for those second row occupants. So if you are just traveling with 4, you could put this back in, get a nice little armrest and some cup holders there, because otherwise the rear occupants just have cup holders in their doors. But if you were to take this out, it does weigh only 30 pounds, so usually enough to get around with and put it in your garage or put it in your basement, wherever you'd like. You do have quite a bit of storage here. Of course, we have some floor mats, but a lot of storage underneath here, even with the third row being up. A very nice thing to see, because sometimes when you get these third row vehicles, especially in this mid-size segment, you can sacrifice quite a bit of trunk space, and I don't feel that that's a concern here. A little bit more storage here and tie downs for the back, so you can tie anything down that you might need to. And finally, another 12-volt power outlet right here. So if we are doing any tailgating, you can plug in a beverage cooler or a TV or something like that out of that 12-volt power outlet. So very nice to see there as well. Now, I am going to put this back in, otherwise general manager might hate me, but I'll put that back there. And there's a couple other things I want to talk about. So we did talk loosely about suspension. This one does have some very nice adaptive air suspension. I have gotten the chance to drive this, rather rare opportunity for me. But given just the fact that new vehicles are very hard to come by. But I was able to take one to a car show, very comfortable drive, one of the more comfortable options in this segment. And talking about segment really quick, the MDX does start off with a front-wheel drive option below $50,000. This one being the top-of-the-line model with the advanced package and the Type S package. We are looking at $73,000 MSRP on this one. So something that has been a big talking point for this car, but there is huge value with all of the luxury options that you get and all of the sporty options that Acura has been known for. So a very good car overall, and very excited to see what you think should you have the opportunity to own one. Thank you again very much for the opportunity to present to you the brand new 2022 Acura MDX Type S. I do hope that you enjoyed this quick introductory video. If you have any more questions about this vehicle or any vehicle that Acura sells at this time or has sold, there are a lot of great product experts here that will be sure to help you order your new vehicle or take a look at any pre-owned option that we have. So with that, I hope you enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you soon.